Hello and welcome to Game Day from the UK, another Miami Heat's UK live streaming show here tonight to preview tonight's game against the San Antonio Spurs. We come at a good time after an absolutely fantastic win against the Houston Rockets. We're going to get straight into that, but before we do, as always, let's introduce the stream team at full health tonight. John Jablonka, how are you?
Yeah, I'm doing great, thanks.
Great stuff. Sam the man, how are you?
Yeah, I'm doing great, thanks. How about you?
Yes, I'm good. I'm feeling good tonight. Yes, Danny, how are you, mate?
We're all feeling good tonight.
Excellent. Yeah, headband Danny tonight. He's been out shooting some bricks tonight, I understand?
Yes. Yes, I have. Yes. A bit rusty.
Yeah, that's understandable, mate. Courts have been closed for a long time.
Yeah.
I'm sure that mid-range will come back pretty soon. Guys, night before last game against Houston Rockets, we all called the win. A few of you were a little bit pessimistic on the score, tight game, 2 or 3 maybe. I said no problems. By 15, it ended up being by 23, I think, something like that. So a blowout win. For me, this was the most pleasing, most fun game to watch of the season. No Bam, no Jimmy, no Hero, no Depot, no problem. Danny, for me, that was, as I said, that it didn't get much better. It was fun, it was energetic, it was fast paced. The threes were just flying down. What did you make of that game against Houston?
Yeah, it was a good game to watch. Very free flowing. Wasn't a lot of issues. I said in the last stream that we were hoping for a Tyler Hero game. Obviously, I was a bit confused with who was in and out, but what we did get was a Kendrick Nunn game. He couldn't miss from downtown, it seemed at times. And yeah, it was just great to watch an offensive explosion from him. And some nice contributions from everyone else as well. As Deadman, I think, did pretty well too. So the trend continues for the dead man.
The dead man dunking. What a live call that was by E. Reed. You're not blamed for being confused about the Tyler Hero situation, because I don't think the Heat knew the situation. He was questionable, then he was out, then he was questionable, and then he was out. He ended up out. But Sam, as I said, this was no issue, was it? As Danny just said there, Kendrick Nunn, he stays ready. 30 points, I think 8 dimes, a few rebounds thrown in as well. What do we say about Kendrick? He's just he's such an attribute to this team, isn't
he? Yeah, I mean, he stays ready, and something about Houston games. I remember I was in the preseason last year that he went off for like, I think 50 points against the Rockets or so. So yeah, it's nice to see him putting up those sort of numbers, and it just goes to show that he's as professional as it gets. Like at the start of the season, he lost some minutes to Hero. When Victor Oladipo came in, he lost some minutes as well. But now that he's been called upon, he's doing exactly what's required of him. And he's just making that case for his payday at the end of the season. So can't blame him.
Yeah, you're right, actually. I forgot, because, of course, he burst onto the scene. I know it was only pre-season, but he burst onto the scene against Houston, didn't he, with that 44-point, whatever it was, game. So, he likes playing against Houston Rockets. You just mentioned there, before I move on to John, you just mentioned there about a payday. You're right, he is up for grabs now. Obviously, we'd like to think the Heat will re-sign him. I think he deserves that. What sort of number do we think he's going to command? It's a tough one, isn't it? Because
Absolutely.
he can look like a 10 to 15 million pound a year player at times, but he can also look like a 2 to 3 million pound player on other nights. It's a real tricky one. I'll be interested to see how the Heat negotiate that, but you'd like to see him back for sure, though, wouldn't you?
Yeah, absolutely. But it just goes back to the price range and who else is available in the market. I mean, if he's the only person available, then we might have to just give it a go. I mean, he has proven himself to be of like Heat culture. He's got the sort of competitiveness that we expect of Miami Heat players. So I'd assume if there's no one else on a table, we better bring him back.
Yeah, I think it would be. As I said, it all comes down to the number. It depends what he wants. He might demand a reasonable payday, and you wouldn't begrudge him that. But I think that he's too useful a player to let walk. So we'll see what happens there. Talking about paydays, John, Duncan Robinson is well and truly back in his groove. Another great performance. The only player to go back-to-back 200 3-point seasons for the Heat. I think that's right. Yeah, he's looking good. It's looking inevitable now that we've got to get the checkbook out for Duncan, haven't we?
I'm still not sure if I'm willing to pay him the big money as like Joe Harris got. I'm still leaning towards the Burton's kind of money there, around 50 to 20, not like above 20 mil range.
I
But
agree.
this game, what?
I agree. Yep.
Oh.
Sorry.
When I was rewatching this game today, you can see the improvements he has done. He has made in like his passing and his like playmaking. There's the highlight of the game, I think, where he got a screen from Deadman, passed it to Trevor Ariza, and then Ariza done that little wrap around, and that all started with Duncan. So I think his passing as well made a big improvement.
Yeah, 100%. It's not just about shooting. We've said this many times that you can see he's evolved as a player. So I think it's right to still be maybe not willing to dish out the sort of money that Joe Harris is on, etc. Because anything sort of that 18 to 20 million still seems too high for me, because we've got to look at then you're now rolling with this team, and are you then saying it's a championship team with those players? Well, at the moment you would probably say no. So I think that there's some negotiations to be had there, but I think at the moment I'd be gutted not to see him in, because we can see that he is evolving as a player. He's looking like the real deal.
He's got a restricted contract, hasn't he? He's got a restricted contract, hasn't he? Yeah, so we're pretty much going to be in the same situation we were with Tyler Johnson. There's bound to be someone who's going to give him some ridiculous money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good point. Talking about players coming back next season, Danny, you touched on there, but Trevor Ariza's been fucking fantastic. I know it's a small sample size, but Dwayne Dedman has been fantastic. I'd like to see them both. I know Dwayne especially. It's a very small sample size, but Ariza has been just like the magnitude of what he has been better than what I had in my head is incomprehensible. I think he's been absolutely incredible. Slips into this team seamlessly. Gives us everything that we need on the court. I want to see them both back next year. Agree?
Agree. Yeah, he's fit that role in that 4 spot really nicely. You'd like to see maybe in the off season them sign a sort of a bit of a bigger player at the position as well, and just so you've got a little bit of backup there, because I don't think Bielitsa is going to be that sort of off the bench guy. But in terms of Ariza, yeah, he's fit seamlessly. I said this on the last stream. It's almost like he's a plug and play with this culture, and he's just picked it up so quickly, and he's not really regressed at all. I know it's only that's a short sample size too with Ariza, but he's been continuously continuously good. So yeah, I'd definitely like to see him, and we don't want a situation again where next year we're like, oh well, we could have signed Jay Crowder last year, we could have signed Trevor Ariza this year, but we let him go. I don't want to see that happen again.
Yeah, I just think that he's for a player that's not played a year, I know he's kept himself in incredible shape, but it was literally like he needed a game. He needed a game to get his legs under him, and suddenly he's been great. He's been shooting 40% from free. That 3-point game against Houston, and it was just insane. It seemed like everybody was knocking him down. Another one who's just, we're talking about a couple of vets there, Sam. Another one that's just been rocking at the moment is Andre Iguodala. Again, the value that he offers on court as the value that he offers off court. Again, I want to see him back. Am I mad?
Absolutely not. I mean, like you just mentioned his value, and it just goes beyond on court, like his intangibles as well, going to his IQ, his defensive IQ, and it's nice to have those sort of figures in the locker room in terms of your development of your younger players as well. So I believe we'd be able to bring him back. I believe the team would want to bring him back. So I'm not too concerned when it comes to Andre Iguodala.
Yeah, am I right in saying is next year his player option?
I believe so. Have a quick
look. I think he has a player option.
No, sorry, not player, team option. Sorry, is that next year or was that what we did this year? I can't remember. I think it's next year. He's got that 15 million team option. I might be wrong. Yeah, we'll see. So as I said, that was my favourite game of the season. I called a big win. It was an even bigger win than what we said. I did get a couple of things wrong though. I said that this would be lots of minutes and lots of points for Gabe Vincent. He got 3 minutes, no points. I said the Strus would be loose. He was 13 minutes scoreless. So I didn't get it all right, but never mind. It was a great result, a great win. People will say it was just the Houston Rockets. They was also on a second night of a back-to-back, but they still had their players healthy and fit. Kelly Olynyk was there. We restricted him, which is something to be said at the moment because he was balling. Christian Wood, we restricted him. John Wall didn't really get going. So these guys, hats off to them. I thought it was a really professional performance, and it just goes to show how, as we keep saying, up and down this team can be, because when we are good, we look absolutely legit. So good to see that we've been championing this squad depth all year, and when all the players were out, the squad depth stood up and took notice and got us a really good dub. So on to tonight's game then, guys. We're here to preview the San Antonio Spurs. Let's do the usual stats. Spurs, a .500 team at 28 and 28, which is good for 10th in the West. Heat now move on to 30 and 28, good for 7th in the East. Spurs are 12 and 18 at home. That's quite a surprising stat. Not a good home team. Heat are 13 and 15 away. They are on a 6-4 run. We are on a 4-6 run. Spurs are just fancied in the bookies by -1. Little bit surprised with that because the Spurs are a good team. They've been played. They're up and down a bit like us. They've won their last two. They've played very well in their last two. Danny, they're still a team to be frightened of is maybe the wrong word, but taken seriously because it's like the battle of the two culture clubs tonight. They're always going to give 100%, aren't they?
Yeah, Spurs are always a tough organisation to beat. And, with our team, you never know what you're going to get on any given night. So, it'll be interesting to see. I hope they rise to the occasion. It'd be nice to get a little win streak going here as well before we go to Atlanta, get the momentum going. So, I can see a hard-fought game tonight. I think it's going to be quite physical.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think you're right. We spoke on the last podcast, Sam, about some of the free agency players that are coming up, and one that we mentioned was DeMar DeRozan. You like DeMar, didn't you? So do we think that this is an option maybe? Because by all accounts, again, like many players, quite fancies Miami. Still got a lot to offer. Borderline all-star player again this year. Offensively, he's always a threat. Seems to sort of slip quite nicely into what we're trying to do. Would that work? Would you be up for that?
Personally, no, because although in the last few games you see Jimmy Butler hitting a couple of threes, I can't justify having Jimmy Butler and DeMar DeRozan on the court at the same time. And not to mention, if we've still got Bam, who by nature isn't shooting threes, in this sort of era we're at in the NBA, we definitely need three-point shooting, and Duncan Robinson alone wouldn't be able to pick that up. So, yeah, just on the fact that he doesn't really give you much outside scoring, I would be against us signing him.
Okay, no, that's fine. John, you've got your usual static attack for us tonight. What have you got on the San Antonio Spurs for us, mate?
Firstly, for post All-Star break, they're 10 and 14, 15th in offense, 19th in defense, and 17th in net rating. The last 2 weeks, they're doing really well on defense. They're fifth in defense in the last 2 weeks and 8th in net rating. They're first in turnover percentage, so it will be hard with our defense keep getting them turnovers. They were on a 5-game losing streak in the beginning of April. And one other stat that really stands out was they take the lowest amount of threes at 30%.
Wow.
So yeah, that's all the stats. And one other exception is Derek White had a great game last night. Went 25 points for 6 out of 11 threes.
Wow.
We need a graphic to come up like before that. It's like stat attack, just boom on the screen. Yeah.
I'll work on that. Get
the production team.
Yeah, I'll get all over that. No worries for next time. The turnovers was one that I picked up on, John. They don't turn the ball over at all, do they? And that's going to be interesting because we're a team that force turnovers. We're somewhere in the middle in terms of steals, but this is really going to come down to what happens with the injury report, because all the players that were listed as out for the Houston game are upgraded to questionable. The only one, obviously, in exception to that is Victor Oladipo, who's still out. Dwayne Dedman is game time decision because of health protocols. He has travelled, but he's waiting for the all clear on that. But Jimmy Butler, Bam, and Tyler Hero are all questionable. Danny, that's going to be probably the key for this, because I don't see us rolling this team over. I don't see us rolling this team over anyway. I don't think that's in their makeup. But whereas I was big against the enthusiasm against Houston Rockets, I don't have that sort of enthusiasm against the Spurs. Is that fair?
Yeah, I don't think you're going to get anywhere near the kind of result with the team that we had against Houston against the Spurs. So, yeah, you'd like to see Jimmy and Tyler back, and you want to see them sort of get their reps back as well, and get back into the swing of things. Because how many games have we got now? 19 games left of the season, is it?
I think it's only 16. I think it's only
16 now.
Yeah,
right. So yeah, there's it's sort of all hands on deck now to get that to get the 6th seed too. Every game counts at this point, so you want maximum effort, and yeah, hopefully we see them on the court.
100%. Yeah, every game does matter now, and the teams that we're playing in the immediate future, Sam, these are all important games, as Danny said, because after the Spurs game, this is our last trip to the West Coast, which is good. But then we go straight after that over to Atlanta. That's going to be a tough game, and then we face the Bulls twice. It's an important week, and it started obviously against Houston, but it carries on tonight, doesn't it? We don't want to be slipping after a really, really positive performance into a bad loss tonight.
Yes, absolutely. And when you consider what the other teams in the East are doing, New York is going on a run, Boston as well. We don't really want to be the team that ends up in that sort of play-in area. So yeah, every game pretty much matters from this point. I mean, games pretty much have mattered over the past month or so, with the whole standing in the East tightening up. But yeah, we don't want to be dropping off games unnecessarily.
No, definitely. Grant is saying we've got this. Let's hope so, Grant.
Absolutely.
John, Sam just sort of picked up on it there. New York Knicks are on a bit of a tear. I think 6-7 game win streak. When are they going to go away? Because I always think they're going to, but it sounds like, or it looks like, they're not. They look like a legit team now. And the East is crowded. If we say that the three obviously are done, Atlanta are also looking very good. You expect Boston to be there, which means there's only one place left for that 6th seed, which is what everybody wants. It might even come down here to those two teams, the Heat or the Knicks. Do you think that the Knicks are gonna pip this, or do you think the Heat have got enough in the locker, and that gradually the Knicks will fall away?
I'd say that the Heat got this, especially because we got the tiebreak over the Knicks. So they would have to win. They can't just tie us. And I'm looking at the standings. We're only 1.5 game back. So if we win tonight against the Spurs, we're just almost there. And yeah, you were right there on the 7-game winning streak. I'd also want to say Hornets, because LaMelo's back.
Yeah, true.
And they're 1 game behind us, so they're not that far as well.
No,
and with LaMelo, they can compete.
Yeah, 100%. That's a good point. Yeah, as I said, it's scary. That's why I keep saying this week really seems important, because after this week, it then actually starts to get tough. We've still got to play Boston twice. We've got to play Milwaukee. We've got to play the Sixers. So we need these games. These games that are in and around, including tonight, that are in and around us. So they're important to pick up some W's here. Before I leave, go on to predictions, one other player that I've always loved for the Spurs, came out of the University of Miami, is Lonnie Walker. I made a bold, really bold hot take at the beginning of the season to say that he will be in the MIP conversation. I think injuries might have prevented that, but he has improved. Anybody, I'll open this up to all of you. Anybody seen much of Lonnie? Because I'm a big fan of his, and he's very quick, he's very skillful, he's got great handles, he's a problem on the court. Anybody seen much of Lonnie this season?
I haven't.
Shaking heads.
The tumbleweed goes across the screen.
Okay. I wanted to shout out Lonnie because I always keep an eye on guys that have come out of Miami, and he did, and he's grown as a player. But maybe my take was a little bit wild, maybe not quite ready for MIP. Okay, guys, let's wrap it up then. Let's go for, as we said, feels like a big game tonight. It's going to be fun. Let's start with Sam tonight. Predictions, and also predictions for this little 2-game trip. 2-0, 1-1, 0-2. What's your thoughts?
I'd say the Heat are going to win today, regardless of who we have on the court. And
regardless,
I'm going to extend that to the next game, so I'm going to go 2-0.
Jeez.
Love it.
I love the optimism, dude. I
Love
wish
it.
I was as optimistic as you, Sam.
All right, Danny, let's come to you next then.
I'd say we're going 1-1 on this trip. We'll go. I believe we'll go 0-2 if we don't have Jimmy and Tyler tonight. In my opinion, that's just me being real. But yeah, I'm hopeful that we'll get them tonight and we'll win this one and we'll take the L on the next. I reckon.
Okay, right, John, what are you thinking?
I'm optimistic as well, and I'm optimistic that Jimmy will play both like from now on. So yeah, I'm going 2-0.
Good stuff. Tonight's game, tight one, or what are you thinking score-wise?
I'll say tight. It's the Spurs, so
A 90s game, I think, maybe.
Yeah, that's not uncommon for the Heat 90s games. I think you're all bang on. I'm going to say yes, a very tight 2-point win for Heat tonight, mid-90s. I think Jimmy will play. I'm not sure we'll see all of them. I'm not even sure we'll see Bam tonight. We'll see. But I think Jimmy will play. I am going to say 1-1 for the trip. I don't like... Danny, you said it earlier on the Twitter feed. You don't like the matchup against Atlanta. I agree with you. I think they're a bit of a pain in the arse to the Heat. We won't go into too much detail because we'll be covering that next game up. But yeah, I think that a road game... if we can come back 1-1, I won't be moaning. I think that'd be fair. But we'll see. But all starts tonight. Starts a big week. Really, really promising performance against the Rockets. The team will hopefully find some ground with that, run with that, take some confidence into this game. If we can shoot like we did against the Rockets, we should win it maybe a little bit more comfortable. But those sort of shooting nights don't come along every game. So I think it's going to be close. Yeah, I agree. So we'll see. We're all on the same page though tonight. We're going round the house Heat wins. So let's hope we're right. We'll leave it there tonight, guys. We'll be back for the next game, which I think is Friday night. I could be wrong. I should be more prepared. But anyway, against the Hawks game, we'll be back. That'll be a fun game too. But we're going 4 wins tonight. Thanks for everyone for watching. Please, as usual, subscribe to Miami Heat UK TV. Also, big shout out to all of you guys. Today was the creation of this account's 2-year birthday. You guys are a big part of it. So thank you so much for joining me. On a pretty much a game basis. So I appreciate all your help. And we'll continue to roll it. We'll continue to do this. We'll continue to grow. And thank you to everyone for watching. Please subscribe. Enjoy the game. We'll be back next time. Take it easy.